Well, hello, and welcome back to Walk the Talk. I'm Kyle.
And I'm Ethan.
And Noah's not here, but yeah, he'll be back. He'll be back.
He went to Disney World without us.
I know, he didn't even invite us or anything.
It's okay though. Here we are, making some episodes.
Yeah. We're gonna do a 10 Commandments series. Well, 9 episodes, but 2 commandments merged together.
Yeah. So we thought it'd be cool to kind of do like a little mini series. So we'll do kind of just episodes breaking down every commandment and what God is calling us to do with each one of those, and then how we can kind of apply them to our lives in today's world. And today we're going to be going over the first 2 commandments because we feel like they're kind of saying similar things, and those are: you shall not have any other gods before me, and to not idol things. And all these commandments can be found in Exodus 20, and they're also restated in Deuteronomy 5.
We highly encourage you guys to go read it yourself. We will give a little bit of a backstory, but yeah, we encourage you guys to go read it yourself. Read Exodus, and like he said, Deuteronomy. Exodus kind of tells the whole story of how the commandments were given, and just the whole backstory, really. We just kind of summarized it for you guys. But yeah, no, definitely go read Exodus. I think it was like Exodus 10 through 34. It's all, or you know what, just go read all of Exodus. Yeah, so today we're going to be going over the no other gods and don't worship any idols.
Yeah, so we might as well just start. I'll just read the exact scripture. So this is Exodus 23 and 4, and they say, the first one is, you shall have no other gods before me. And then it says, you shall not make for yourself an image in the form of anything in heaven above, or on the earth beneath, or in the waters below. And this is also Exodus 25 and 26. It says, you shall not bow down to them or worship them, for I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God, punishing the children to the sin of the parents to the 3rd and 4th generation of those who hate me, but showing love to 1,000 generations of those who love me and keep my commandments.
Yeah, okay, so in today's time, people probably think this is a little irrelevant because there's not many. Like, when we think about worshiping other gods, we're thinking about, Zeus and Poseidon.
Yeah, just, all the different, kind of religions there is. And obviously back then there were a lot more. And then there's all of, the, Eastern religions, like Buddhism and, Taoism and Taoism and all that type of stuff. And then obviously all the, ancient Greek religions, you mentioned. And, the different, sects of, Christianity as well.
So, yeah. So, like we said, this is, if you don't really dig deep into it, it seems like it can be an irrelevant thing. But when we talk about saying idols or gods, we're not saying creators exactly. We're saying more like phones or money or Instagram followers or stuff that we usually put over God in our world right now.
Yeah, like Kyle was saying, just kind of valuing those earthly possessions, which is another thing that just throughout the Bible God calls us to let go of.
Yeah, so when we think of one God, we say one. It's like one human race. So when we say there's multiple gods, we say there's multiple races, unless you're thinking Greek or Roman gods, which are all different gods in one world. But there's also other people who believe that there are multiple gods for multiple universes. From a Christian's perspective, obviously, we see the one God creating the one universe. And like we just said, this means one human race. So think of it this way. So God views us all as equal. We have, let's say, our parents, for example. Your parents, at least I hope, will view you and your sister, for example, as equal. You guys are the children of your parents, as we all on earth are the children of God. He views us all as equal. He doesn't care about race. He doesn't care about height, weight, he doesn't care about anything other than we are his children. He doesn't love me more than Ethan. He doesn't love me more than the Mormon or Muslim at our school. He loves us all equally. It's just the only difference in the love is the people's love towards God.
Yeah. And then also looking at it from like a modern perspective, you kind of mentioned it, talking about like the money and the phones and stuff, but there's this one artist I listen to. He's a Christian, like kind of rapper. His name's Young C, and he has this one song called "Burn My Idols," and it's kind of like in reference to these commandments. And he's just talking about like how we need to like burn our idols in the song. And another thing I think of when I think of idols with like our generation and whatnot is when it comes to like whatever kind of like our dream is, right? Like, you know, you want to be a musician or you want to be like an athlete. There's people in those fields and in those careers who like we idolize, especially when it comes to like those like celebrities, and especially when it comes to like athletes. Like there's a lot of people who idolize like LeBron, or they idolize, you know, Sabrina Williams and like those like high caliber athletes, and they want to be like them, and they set their life on them and not on Christ because they put those people above Christ.
Yeah, and it's not only like they want the skills. So if you for example, let's say I'm a football player and I watch like Patrick Mahomes and I want to be a quarterback, and I say I want to be like Patrick Mahomes, and I say it as in I don't want to have the life he has, but I want to be able to like have the same skills he has. If you say you want to be like him and then train like him, that's a little bit of a difference than, let's say I want to be like LeBron and I try to like base my whole entire life off of him. That's a little bit of a difference, and that's where people get mistaken. And when you say the whole like music industry, we are listening to, I'm going to bring up Lil Uzi Vert. There's rappers like him who on stage, in their stages, there's like demonic references, which you probably wouldn't notice if you're just going there for the show, and like you don't really pay attention to that kind of things. But there are these things. He had the Antichrist symbol on his head, like in a newspaper article, and just all these. There's just all these little things from artists that are highly against Christianity, praising the devil, just all these things that we listen to on a daily basis and pretty much worship when we just like sit down and listen to them.
Yeah, and I'm going to do something real quick that some of y'all might not like, but I'm going to just like he said Uzi, and, you know, sometimes I listen to Uzi, but, you know, it's something that obviously don't support what he says in his music. But it's something that we do need to look at because it's things like that, like music. I'm going to just name, like, you look at, like, Drake, you look at Taylor Swift, you look at, like, NBA Youngboy, you look at, you know, some country artists, and just a lot of that mainstream rap out there as well. And there's all this references to other things. And in a lot of those songs, what are the main things that they're talking about, right? They're talking about sex, money, drugs, alcohol, and a lot of the times like murder.
There's literally
as well.
a song from Cardi B, literally a full entire song just about sex. Just about sex. There's nothing else talked about but sex. We're going to get a lot of hate for saying Taylor Swift is demonic, but if you look, there is a whole music video out there with her dressed as the devil, dancing with like fire behind her, dancing with a scene that is supposed to be hell. Like Christian girls, all you guys that went to that Taylor Swift concert, look where your money's going to. Watch her music videos and look at the stuff that's behind the scenes.
Yeah, and obviously, we aren't perfect either. Like, a lot of those like rappers and stuff I named, like, I've listened to before, you know. We were even talking about getting Drake tickets at one point. So, you know, we aren't perfect either. So, you know, no one's perfect, right?
It's okay. 21 Savage has a cross on his forehead.
Okay, so, but just moving back to, like, my original point, right? There's just a lot of that those 5 things that I mentioned, right? Sex, money, drugs, alcohol, and murder a lot of that has infiltrated that mainstream music culture and are like a key part of like the songs that like are all over the radio. And that's something that in those songs, right, those 5 things are idolized in a sense, right? They're saying like, hey, these are the things that you need to care about the most in life. You need to care about having, you know, the most money. I forgot, who was it that said like, I forgot which.
I don't listen to rap, so I'm not the guy to ask about this.
I think it was.
Give me the line. I might be able.
Why
to.
am I blanking on this? Because I should have like remembered the artist. I think it was Uzi, but like
it's probably Uzi.
5'6", stand on my money, and I'm 6 foot or something.
Yeah, that was him because I know Lil Uzi's very short. That's what I know about him. He's short and Antichrist. Okay.
But just like with that, like right, like they're idolizing money. They're idolizing. You know, they say, you know, get all the drugs you want and like have all the sex you want in these songs, and they're idolizing those earthly possessions over idolizing and worshiping Christ as like the main priority in their life. Yeah, and what their whole ideology is if you have all these things, you're going to be happy in life. But in reality, so there's a song that our church makes music as well. Christ Church of the Valley, also known as CCV. They make music, and one of the songs is called All I Have, and one of the lines is, if all I have is Jesus, I have all I need. That is true, because if all we do is love God, love Jesus, love others, like the two commandments that God gives us, we'll talk about that some other time. But love God and love others as yourself, just stuff like that. We put all of our love and worship to that, but these rappers and all these mainstream artists are trying to get us to pull away from that and worship the sex, the money, drugs, all of that stuff. We also have you look like you have stuff to look up and say. I'm gonna let you say that real quick. So if you haven't already, follow our Instagram, follow our YouTube, follow our Spotify. You getting there? I was trying to like just see like some more examples of like those like references in music, but you know, you can just keep going with your point.
Yeah. Okay. So the other thing about this whole worshiping other things, this is also like worshiping godless universe view.
Like atheism, you mean?
Basically. And what we'll realize is, let's take it school, for example. If you have... So I had an atheist world history teacher. I'm not going to bring up names, but I had an atheist world history teacher. We never talked about, other than when we had to, we never talked about, anytime it was like creation, we never went over like the resurrection. Creation, it was the Big Bang, evolution from monkeys, all that stuff. We never talked about the resurrection, never talked about Moses or anything like that. We talked about Abraham, but just because it went with world religions. But other than that, she kept God out of the whole entire world history class as much as she possibly could. In science classes, example, they talk about the Big Bang. As Christians, we need to step up and maybe like ask questions from a Christian's perspective. Like, you know, I view, and you can even say it in a respectful way. Like, you can say like, you know, I view this. Can I maybe give a little bit of input on it? You don't have to do like a whole message. Like, you talk about it for like a minute. Just ask a few questions, and it can just kind of open up a whole new point of view, but from the Christian's perspective and the God, like even Islam or Jewish perspective.
Yeah, and definitely it's also like something that I've just been like thinking about more recently too, when you talk about like science and stuff and like the differences between that. There's also something that I want to talk about more in depth like a later time, but when it comes to like science and even history versus like religion and Christianity, while there is like some big major differences in like the key philosophies of each, there's a lot of similarities and a lot of things within science and history that even like help prove Christianity. And science and religion actually go hand in hand a lot.
Yeah, you do more digging, and you will be able to probably give a whole statement on why it's not proven, because nothing's proven unless we actually have the facts. You can't prove God exists, but you can give a logical explanation to why you are sure he does. With Jesus resurrecting, you can give you can give facts that point to it. There is no proof that he did, which sucks, but it's true. There are like artifacts and whatnot from the Bible that we do have, and there's more evidence for Christianity than there is for any other world religion, and also adding atheism to a religion. There's more evidence that points to Christianity than all that.
Yeah, and so kind of just diving back into like those first two commandments, where in Exodus 25 through 6, God says, "You shall not bow down to them or worship them, for I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God, punishing the children for the sin of the parents to the third and fourth generation of those who hate me, but showing love to 1,000 generations of those who love and keep my commandments." So basically, what God is trying to say, right, is when we put God first in our lives, then he will love us. And if we love him back, then it will continue to go throughout. But when we repel God away from us and we make it so that we prioritize other things like we've been talking about over God, we have these false idols and we have these things that we just, place over God. We need to put God first instead, because if we don't, then, as he says, God is a jealous God, and he'll punish the sins of 4 generations ago, and it will continue to go on.
Yeah. Okay. Like we said, we're not doing like really long messages. We're just kind of breaking down each commandment, giving what we think about it. So yeah. If you guys enjoyed this, comment down below what you guys thought. And yeah, if you want, watch the next episode. We highly recommend it. And again, go and read Exodus.
And just the Bible.
And the Bible in general. Okay, yeah. I'm Kyle.
I'm Ethan.
And have a nice night. I hated that, but it's fine.
We'll see you next time.